He said to me, you know, everyone happy? I said, yep, just don't crash.
Master warning, carrying engine 2 fire.
Then within about 5 seconds, it felt as if we were plunging out of the sky.
It didn't take much imagination at all to work out that one spark and we were cinders.
One spark and we were cinders. QF32 from Singapore to Sydney. The story in which anyone who's ever flown or is ever likely to fly has an investment. Welcome to Four Corners. The familiar red and white kangaroo stamped across the Qantas fleet is much more than a clever business logo. It's become a symbol that stands for safety in the skies. But when that logo was blown off with the engine cowling of QF32 in a mid-air explosion and crashed onto an Indonesian island off Singapore one morning in November last year, the airline's unparalleled safety record nearly went with it. The Australian Transport Safety Bureau investigation is not due to report until later this year, but already the finger of responsibility for the near calamitous mishap has been pointed at the door of another famously iconic brand, Rolls-Royce. Qantas is now suing Rolls-Royce. There are two stories in play here tonight. One is the investigation of what went wrong. The other, a tale of remarkable courage and cool under immense pressure, and of passengers who also kept their nerve. What you're about to see includes pictures filmed on board by passengers as the drama unfolded, as well as carefully constructed recreations with the cooperation of the flight crew, Qantas staff in Sydney, various teams at Singapore Airport and the passengers. Rolls-Royce chose not to participate in any way. Here now is Sarah Ferguson's account of what happened on QF32 that day.
Singapore, November the 4th, 2010. At 7 a.m, Changi Airport was gearing up for the busiest part of the day.
Cathay 739 Singapore ground, taxi via North Cross 3 and hold shot of Alpha 6.
It was a beautiful day. Sun was shining, pleasant temperatures, calm winds.
Temperature was about 29 degrees Celsius. The wind was about southerly at 5 knots.
The conditions were perfect to go flying.
QF32 had just touched down from London. It had a 2-hour turnaround before takeoff to Sydney. The A380, the largest passenger aircraft in the world, powered by 4 Rolls-Royce engines to lift 465 tons of machinery and people into the air.
It is the latest technology. It's the derivation of 100 years of aviation, and it is a superb machine to fly.
29 fresh crew members were heading in to man the flight to Sydney. Neither Captain Richard de Crepney nor First Officer Matt Hicks was originally scheduled to fly that day.
Some first officer had gone sick or gone home, and just the ensuing disruptions meant that I had to do that service.
We'll be doing equipment checks in about the next 2 minutes, so please could you check your equipment now? Thanks.
A small army of cleaners were hurried off the plane as the cabin crew prepared for the arrival of 440 passengers.
On the aircraft now, all the ASO and ABO stuff, so I mean,
it was such a normal day. Our call time, the briefing, on the bus to the hotel, get the briefing from the airport staff, and then get onto the aircraft. We did our checks. There was no fluke. There was nothing missing.
Downstairs in the terminal, the passengers were checking in. Rosemary and Larry Hegarty were on their way home to Sydney after 2 months with family in Ireland.
I'm leaving family, I'm leaving my sisters there, but then my family here, my boys and my husband are here, so it's always a great pull for me as to where I want to be.
Check-in was very quick. Headed through, had a coffee on the way. I was actually tweeting to let my friends know that I'm off to Australia.
This plane was particularly special. Named after Australia's most famous female aviator, Nancy Bird Walton.
Well, the Nancy Bird Walton is a very special aircraft. The first aircraft we took delivery of. You had this iconic brand in Qantas, you had an iconic aircraft in the A380, and you had an iconic engine manufacturer in Rolls-Royce.
The plane had an extra significance for First Officer Matt Hicks. Nancy Bird Walton wrote his reference when he joined Qantas as a cadet. On the tarmac, QF-32 took on 106 tons of jet fuel. Second Officer Mark Johnson did the final physical check of the plane.
You start at the front of the aircraft around the nose area. You have a look at the tyres for damage. You look through the engines, along the wings, looking for damage.
The 4 Trent 900 engines, bolted under the wings, looked brand new.
There was nothing unusual I saw on that day at all to warrant mention.
There was something unusual about this flight, the number of pilots in the cockpit and their combined experience. In addition to the normal crew of 3, there were 2 extra captains in the rear seats, conducting routine checks on the pilots.
Richard? Matt?
I had the 3 crew members, Harry checking us, and he would be quiet. Dave was there to actually train Harry on how to be a check captain. So we had a check captain checking a check captain who was checking me.
They just sit in the back, but it's like having a copper sitting in the back seat of your car. You crossing every T and dotting every I. I tried to make it a bit lighthearted as we went out, and it's a pity it's not on the cockpit voice recorder. Actually, I said to Rich just as before we took off, he said to me, everyone happy? And I said, yep, just don't crash.
Just before 10 a.m, QF-32 moved towards runway 20 center.
I was thinking that everything would be smooth, and I think every air traffic controller hopes for that.
There's a camera on the tailplane, so you can see the aircraft taxiing out, get to the end of the runway.
I'm totally relaxed because I loved flying.
They had every reason to feel confident. An airline with a unique safety record, flying the most sophisticated civilian aircraft, powered by engines made by the world's most famous engine maker. 4 Rolls-Royce engines, each delivering 72,000 pounds of thrust to lift the massive aircraft almost noiselessly off the ground. At 1 minute past 10, 5 minutes